Do you need a break? How about a little adventure? British Columbia offers breathtaking scenery, endless outdoor activities, and it's all right here in our own backyard. Welcome to the BC Adventure Show, brought to you by DiscoverySeaTours.ca. And now, your host.
Perfect day. The sky will be blue. Sun is yellow by the way.
Hi, I'm your host, Kimberly Henrie, and today I'm here with Aleha from Wild Thyme Coffee House. And today we'll be talking with Aleha about Saturna Island, nestled within the beautiful Gulf Islands. Now, before Aleha joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions, comments, or would like to share your latest BC adventure with us, please visit us at facebook.com/mybcadventures. We'd love to hear from you. Good afternoon, Aleha. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm doing fantastic. And Aleha, give us your full name. I have Aleha.
It's Aleha Johnston. I live on Saturna Island.
Excellent. And tell me about your... Now, am I correct that you have a double-decker bus?
I do, yes. I have a 1963 Leyland Lowlander double-decker bus that I've turned into a coffee shop, and it's complete with seating upstairs and a commercial kitchen downstairs where we make everything from scratch.
Oh, how fun. How fun. And I hear you have some really awesome pies and goodies.
The pies are becoming quite well known. Yes, people like them. I'm a purist, so when I make a pumpkin pie, I plant the pumpkins in the spring and grow them and then make the pie from scratch in the fall. So people like that.
Oh, yes. That's fantastic. Is it just the pumpkins or...
No, I make all sorts of different pies, whatever's in season. I really like using local foods, but generally whatever's in season. And then I make a nice pecan pie all year round that people order from
my
me.
Favorite. That's my favorite. And can you give us, I'm assuming you have a website or Facebook page that you can direct us to?
We are on Facebook, and we also have a website. Our website is www.wildthymecoffeehouse.com, and thyme is spelled like the plant, the little thyme plant, so THYME. And then you can find us on Facebook as well if you search Wild Thyme Coffee House.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to add that to my list of things to do when I come visit. I am so excited about what's really going on out there. So you live on Saturna Island?
I do, yes.
That is also where your coffee house is located?
Yeah.
Is the bus just stationary? It is stationary.
Paint
the picture for us.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's just up from the ferry terminal, so if someone wanted to come visit, you can't miss it. You have to drive past it when you come over, so it's pretty neat. I actually just found out in the last week confirmation that my Leyland bus is the one and only bus that was donated for the 1978 Commonwealth Games, direct from Britain. So it was brought over to Canada to drive around the British team back in 78. So it's a pretty neat bus, and it's got a great story behind it. But yeah, so it's a pretty good week for me.
Now, how do you get to Saturna Island so we can come check you out?
Okay, well, if you're coming from Vancouver, you can get to Saturna Island through the ferry service from Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal, BC Ferries. They have a website that you can find them on. I believe it is bcferries.com. You can also fly in. There's a couple of different companies that float plane companies that fly out of the airport in Vancouver. The Air is one of them, I believe it's called. Peter Stolten has a company where he brings people over in his touring boat, and that can be quite fun because you have more of an intimate adventure on the way in. You can sometimes see whales, and so that's quite neat to be able to get in that way. How else can you get to Saturna? You can come on your own boat if you're lucky enough to have one, or if you know a friend, but generally probably the most common way to get to Saturna is through BC Ferries, ferry terminal. And we have direct sailings from Swartz Bay on Vancouver Island, as well as sailings where you transfer at another island from Vancouver. So it's pretty accessible.
Wonderful. Now tell us about it. We've heard a little bit in our previous conversations with Peter, but from your point of view, what is wonderful about Saturna Island?
I'd say the community. The census says there's 350 people that live on Saturna. I'm not sure if that's true. I think there's probably more, about around 200 people that live here, and everyone knows everybody. So it's got a really old-fashioned feel to it. You know, everyone waves when you're walking up the street. Everyone knows everyone's kids. And if you do have kids here, they're safe to just walk to the corner store, half a mile up the road. And it's just a lovely feel. The community is run on lots of volunteer work. People come together. Same guy that, shows up at a fire call might be building your house or putting up a fence for you. So the community is a wonderful thing on Saturna Island, and I think that's probably the highlight of our community. In addition to the wonderful community, we have the best view in the Gulf Islands from the top of Mount Warburton Pike. You've got a 360 view of the San Juan Islands, and it's on a clear day, you can't beat it. You've got the Olympic Mountains behind, and it's just gorgeous. There's also, if you're lucky enough, sometimes you can see herds of goats up on top of the mountain and soaring eagles, and I once saw a pod of whales from up there down in the water below. It's just, it takes your breath away up on the mountain.
And is it a hike up or vineyard?
Yeah, there's a vineyard. So
Never mind.
And so wine tasting as well, if that's your thing.
Sounds like there's so much to do. How big is the island?
The island is 31 square kilometers, just about, which is quite big, and it's very mountainous. But because Parks Canada came in and bought about 50% of the parks, 50% of the land, and turned it to a national park, so it is a fairly big island, but we're protected from density and from overdevelopment because the government of Canada has come in and made a big park. So in addition to the wine tastings and the views, there's lots of parks you can explore and kayaking, and you've got that small community feel as well because the density is never going to be a threat, which is nice.
Fantastic. And there's beaches off the island?
There's lots of beaches, yeah. We've got our parks board on Saturna here has been working hard to expand the beach accesses on Saturna in the last handful of years. So just recently we have introduced, I'm not sure how many, probably 5 or 6 new beach accesses, which is really nice. There's definitely lots of beaches on Saturna.
Sounds like there's some amazing hiking. Is it also a great place for you, if you're taking a ferry over or even a charter boat, to throw your bicycle in?
Well, I think Saturna is actually quite well known for cycling because we have the very long stretch along East Point Road that is right beside the ocean. So you've got this beautiful view, and people come over and cycle all the time. Plus we have camping, so often you'll see cyclists coming over camping and then cycling the island. Now that being said, there are a lot of hills on Saturna Island, so it's not a beginner level
okay.
as well. But it is, people do love coming over to cycle the island. It's beautiful.
Is that a day trip, or would you set aside a weekend for that?
Well, a lot of people come over for a day trip, and once they get here, they wish they would have planned for longer. It's the kind of place where you want to stay for at least a couple days. And I always recommend people to come for at least 2 nights. That way you have 1 full day on the island, and you can sort of see everything. When I have friends and family that come over, it's really hard to show them everything we have unless they're here for 2 or 3 nights. So I always recommend coming over and staying for a couple nights at least.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we'll talk more about where to stay and a little bit more about what there is to do on the island in just a moment, right after this.
Enjoy adventures where eagles soar, whales play, and around the next corner is a soft pebble beach. Discovery Sea Tours, specializing in private charters and group tours. Visit discoveryseatours.ca for details.
Hello again. I'm Kimberly Henrie, your host, and we're talking with Aleha Johnston from Wild Thyme Coffee House on the island of Saturna. And we've been talking about the amazing things there are to do, the fact that there's so many parks and the beach access and hiking opportunities and cycling. Tell me a little bit about the shopping environment, Aleha.
Shopping is not something that you're going to come across too often on Saturna. We have a quaint little store called the Saturna General Store, and you have everything in there from your wine list to your post office to a little cafe which has amazing food, and a little hardware store as well. So in addition to the one general store, we have another store on the island that offers more to a boating demographic and as well as gas. So there's 2 stores here to shop.
Fantastic.
It's a little bookstore, but there's really not much for shopping on Saturna Island.
Well, and that can definitely be a plus for some weekend getaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we know there's whale watching to be had in and on and around Saturna Island. Our friend Peter Stolting also operates Discovery Sea Tours and takes folks out and we've talked, that just sounds amazing. What other whale watching opportunities are there maybe from shore?
Well, on the east point of the island is a beautiful park called East Point Park, and it's in the National Park Reserve of Canada. It has some of the best onshore whale watching in Canada. What happens is the killer whales come up and they rub their bellies on the sandstone rocks that are just quite literally about 10 feet from where people can stand and watch them. So
wow.
It's an amazing experience to stand there and see so close you can almost touch these whales, and it's beautiful. I can't imagine anything more extraordinary if you want to watch whales.
Is that something that you can catch year-round, or is that a seasonal thing?
Well, we do have transients that come through as well, but there are pods that live in the area. So I think it's probably seasonal. However, if you're lucky, you can catch them once in a while. Now, it's not something that you can schedule ever. So when you do have the luck of seeing the whales at East Point, it's a really moving experience.
I imagine. Sounds lovely. And I understand there's a new museum or attraction as well.
Yeah, so there is a historic building on site. Of course, the site has a lighthouse, and it was quite a well-known area for boats to go through. So the new museum is inside of an old fog alarm building on site, and the first killer whale to ever be brought into captivity was actually caught off of East Point on the where the park is now today. So they've taken this old building and they've completely restored it, and it's just amazing. And it's dedicated mostly to this whale, Moby Doll, which the story is quite neat. That whale, after he brought into captivity in Vancouver Aquarium, died a few months later, but with all of the research that happened, it sort of led the way for people today to learn what we do know about whales now. So I think it was sad but integral part of learning about the lifestyles of whales.
Wow. That's fascinating. There's so much that I think we could continue to talk about. But folks who are coming over to visit, what are the lodging prospects like?
Well, we have a handful of B&Bs that are beautiful, and we also have a lodge on Saturna Island. There's also camping, and there's a nice sort of variety of different places to stay. I usually recommend a B&B called Breezy Bay Farm. It's a beautiful place. It's one of the oldest houses on the island, and it's in a farm that is still operating today, and it has an organic status. The house is extraordinary. It's got an old library upstairs. They have a website, and I believe the website is breezybay.com, breezybaybnb.com. I usually recommend that place. It's beautiful. Now, there's also upscale, beautiful places to stay. Four Winds B&B is very nice, and I believe they might be putting in a spa this year. So there's a lot of different... there's a range depending on what you want. And like I said, we just brought the camping in as well, so we now have camping, which is nice.
So you can really make a weekend getaway or a week's vacation, whatever flavor you like it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We are just about out of time, but I want to make sure that we give out your website one more time, and that's wildthymecoffeehouse.com, and that is thyme as in THYME, the herb. And also want to recommend that you check out, if what you're hearing from Aleha today interests you, check out SaturnaTourism.com. And I'm sure that you'll find some of the resources that we talked about today there, and you can get in touch and book your trip. So, again, Aleha, thank you. Aleha Johnston, Wild Thyme Coffee House. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You bet. You can follow us on My BC Adventures on Twitter. And if you enjoyed the show, please share us with your friends on Facebook and on Twitter. And that's it for our show today.
Thanks for listening. To join our discussion and to share your latest British Columbia adventure, visit us at facebook.com/mybcadventures.
I am with my bare feet. Tomorrow will be a perfect day. The sky will be blue.